are Geekcentric, and you can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our special Behind the Geeks episode for Star Wars Visions Volume 2. My name is Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast focusing on the world of movies, TV shows, games, toys, and collectibles, and all things Geekcentric, and all things Star Wars, it seems lately. Joining me for this Behind the Geeks episode, he's my fuzzy, lovable Lumpa-Waroo Lawrence.
Oh, the Lumparoo has returned, and you're absolutely right, Nate. We are like just a hairline away from being an all Star Wars podcast, but we love it. It's May the 4th week, so we got a lot of content Star Wars related to share this week, and I'm very excited to share today's interview.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good one. Before we get to the interviews interview, I guess, with multiple people.
Yes.
I mean, listen, the people listening already know because they tapped on the thing. But listen, just bear with us for a second here. I want to know, Justin, before we dive into that, we're talking about Star Wars Visions, Volume 2 with Visions Volume 1. You guys talk about it quite a bit in this interview, not to give anything away, but what is your favorite episode of Star Wars Visions Volume 1?
This was a tough one because they were all so friggin' good and
so good.
Very much like Volume 2, which again the review is coming, but we'll discuss it all later. But it's got to be the duel. I think only because it really did set the tone for how this was going to be Star Wars done differently. The marriage of the samurai story with the Star Wars lore, as we know, that is the source of inspiration for Star Wars. So to see it brought to life in a black and white, inky, painty sort of style that was so traditional to Japanese anime, it was just such a great foundation, a foundational start. And then after that, it just fires off, right? Like you're getting all sorts of stories with different anime styles told. And I think that the follow-up to that, number 2, would probably be my second favorite, which would be Tatooine Rhapsody. Which
so
was
different. It's such a
different.
stark contrast, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in those first 2 episodes, you really do see how this is so different from everything else we've got from Star Wars. But yeah, the duel, it sets the tone. I know it might be a cop-out because it's the first one, but realistically, they're all my favorite. Like, honestly,
so
I watched those last time, I believe it was in 2021 when they came out. I think I watched those like 3 or 4 times through just because they were so good.
So good. For me, I'm going to go with The Village Bride. I think is incredible.
You said that in the...
Did I say that in our review?
Episode. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The Village Bride, like even just the poster work, that if you look it up on the Star Wars wikis and everything, like absolutely phenomenal. I think it's just the lush forest, the way that they showed a master apprentice story, but at the same time they brought in like the local culture and showing sort of the traditions of that culture and just how the Force is kind of imbued within every aspect of that planet is so good. And just the moment when she just has her jet boots and just slashes through, it's absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't watched Star Wars Visions Volume 1, please go do so. What are you doing? What are you doing listening to this? Go watch that, and then go watch Visions Volume 2 once it comes out. Justin, who the heck did you get a chance to speak to from Star Wars Visions Volume 2?
Well, dude, I am like humbled at the opportunity of who we got to talk to. We are talking to the executive producing team behind Star Wars Visions. That's James Waugh, Jacqui Lopez, and Josh Rhimes. Now, I got some details about each of these people because I just want our listeners to know the breadth of work that they have touched upon. So first, James Waugh is Senior Vice President of Franchise Content and Strategy at Lucasfilm. Now, he oversees basically the content teams and has been a member of the Star Wars Creative Brain Trust since 2016. And his professional passion lies in building intellectual property through compelling narrative and the experiential content across the platform. Waugh currently leads narrative development and creative strategy across the franchise lines of business, including franchise animation, video games, theme parks, publishing, immersive entertainment, consumer products, and digital online content initiatives. So he has his hands in a lot of different Star Wars content.
He's doing it all.
And, some of that content, just to kind of be a little more specific, we're talking Rogue One, Solo, The Last Jedi, The Rise of the Skywalker, including The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars Resistance, Star Wars Rebels, Clone Wars, The Bad Batch. If it's Star Wars, he's touched it. He's even worked on Jedi Fallen Order, Vader Immortal. He has spearheaded the initiatives for StarWarsKids.com and is providing ongoing stewardship for the High Republic, which is obviously, as we know, Star Wars' sort of first fictional era since Disney's acquisition. So he's a big deal. He is, he has a lot of knowledge. His hands is in it. So, but that's only one of the 3 executive producers. I also had a chance to chat with Jacqui Lopez, who is vice president of franchise productions. She started out in ILM in 2008 and kind of shuffled around the company. But due to her love for animation, Lopez moved over to Lucasfilm Animation in 2015, where she oversaw productions for the Emmy-nominated series Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, The Clone Wars, as well as the Lego Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures. More recently, though, she was executive producer on the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special and Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. She was also the producer on the Disney Gallery, the Star Wars Mandalorian Season 2, so the making of that. So that's really cool. She was kind of part of that documentary part. So she's another who has her hands in all things Star Wars. And then finally, Josh Rhimes is Vice President of Animation Development and Production, who has worked on several Star Wars projects like The Bad Batch, The Clone Wars, Resistance, Rebels. Josh has also produced the flagship series of shorts Galaxy of Adventures, which are dope. They are so dope. They're from the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. And he continues to develop and executive produce short-form series for the channel like Galaxy of Creatures. So we have on the show today 3 huge influential producers, creatives at Lucasfilm that are executive producers to the Star Wars Visions Volume 1 and Volume 2. But really, at the end of the day, they're working on all things Star Wars, primarily animated, which, if you know who we are, we love Star Wars animated content. So this was a real blessing. And again, a huge thanks to our friends at Disney Studios Canada and Disney Plus Canada, just for setting this all up. And I really appreciate the opportunity given to sit down, because whoever we can talk to is so great. But to talk to the creative minds that are pioneering Star Wars Visions, which in my opinion is probably some of the best Star Wars content to come out of Lucasfilm, some of the most forward-thinking Star Wars that we've seen with animation, it was an absolute delight. So I can't wait to share this interview with our listeners.
Well, I can't wait either, Justin. I'm actually getting a vision right now that we should probably just let our listeners.
Animated?
It's animated. It's actually beautiful. Or I'm just delirious and I'm losing it. But without further ado, please enjoy our interview with executive producers James Waugh, Jacqui Lopez, and Josh Rhimes.
Hello, James, Jacqui, and Josh.
Hey.
Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. My name is Justin. So I guess that makes me the 4th J in this group, which is absolutely. How are we all doing today?
Great.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I am very excited to be talking to you guys about this fantastic follow-up to Star Wars Visions with Volume 2. I can't begin to tell you guys how much I loved Volume 1 and I adored Volume 2. It continues to show how Star Wars is made stronger with new voices to tell new stories and showcasing the beauty and diversity of cultures with animation in a vast galaxy. It is just a huge win for Star Wars. So I absolutely adore it.
Thank you. That means the world to us, by the way. I mean, truly, we put our heart and soul into this project, so that means a lot to hear.
Well, that's great. And actually, my first question is for you, James. I know we're talking about Volume 2, and this is my first time chatting with you guys. I kind of want to rewind the clock here for a bit and just kind of get a walkthrough of like, how did the origins of Star Wars Visions come to be, and how did the success of Volume 1 influence the decision to create a Volume 2?
Yeah, well, it honestly comes from passion. I mean, I think we all love we love animation for all the way up to Kathy Kennedy on. She has a deep passion for animation in her. You know, you can see that in her love of Studio Ghibli and being instrumental in bringing the Ghibli works to the West. And so it was something that, you know, she had a big passion for. We loved the work that was happening in Japan, and we were definitely in a place of always using the same reference points and seeing who was watching what, because there's such fantastic craftsmen over there, but also the animation world at large. And so there was early talks about how could we expand the canvas of Star Wars animation. What could it look like through other perspectives? And this was just around the time Disney Plus was coming online. And it allowed us to have a new distribution platform that could try things in different formats. So the idea of an anthology really wasn't something that we really had the distribution methodology for before doing shorts. And so we really saw this as an opportunity to finally let's do this. Let's get other voices to come into Star Wars and see what it would look like in the animated form. The thing that really unlocked it, though, is the more we talked to Japanese studios that we loved and admired, their process is very specific, and they're just such master craftsmen. The idea of coming to them and changing their process, we felt fundamentally would change the quality of the artistry they do. So we really looked back and wanted to get a sense of what would be a right framework that would allow for them to come in with the unexpected, things like the duel that were really a celebration of cinema and animation and black and white Kurosawa film using Star Wars elements. You couldn't get that trying to tell a story that was part of the ongoing legacy and the timeline. And so Visions felt to us like an appropriate framework that could orient the audience and really give creatives the ability to work within a process that could tell their stories. And so that's how it all started. Yeah. We were over the moon by the success of the first volume. We all believed in it throughout, and really thought it was good. And then we were unbelievably happy to see the result. And so that gave us license in many ways to say, like, this can go on, and there's a kingdom for this, and that this expression of Star Wars is very clearly curated as visions, and people would like to see what this could be. With Volume 1, the other thing that was really interesting about the development process is that we were looking in engaging with these different creators. So many of them looked at Star Wars in a very different way, or the different elements of Star Wars resonated with them. Their own cultural context really led to the storytelling that they were rendering. And so ultimately we realized there's just such a global renaissance happening now with animation. There's so many studios we love, so many studios that are just really playing with new methodologies of animation, and that we felt, let's see if that same idea of a cultural perspective shining through the lens of Star Wars could apply globally, and what could we possibly get from all these different countries and different creators who were shaped by different environments and had Star Wars meaning different things to different cultures. And we could not be more pleased by the work that we have gotten.
Yeah, no, it really does show that there's a marriage between the themes from Star Wars and individual cultures that marry so well and showcase in all of these shorts from Volume 1 into Volume 2 as well. But specifically with Volume 2, my next question is going to be for Jacqui and Josh, so feel free to share. But the volume 2, we're seeing new stories on a global scale, like you were mentioning, James. And we got Chile, we got India, we got South Africa, to name a few, which is incredible. I wanted to know, as producers, what do you look for when selecting animation studios to work with, and what's the process with identifying these studios and collaborating with them? I think, James, you were kind of alluding to that, letting them kind of have a sense of freedom with it to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think that we all had, I think Cartoon and Saloon and Aardman were really easy choices. We all are big fans
Mhm.
of the work and the stories they tell. So we all were in agreement on that. And luckily they had room in their pipeline um, to do this for us with us. And then we also wanted to make sure we had a global representation of studios and styles. So we tried to hit as many continents as we could.
Right.
And, some we had pre-existing relationships, like with Rodrigo Blas. We love he's kind of an animation visionary, and we wanted to work with him. 88 Pictures in India, we definitely wanted India represented. Um, and the rest was just doing a lot of research and getting all our favorite some pieces of animation that we've been fans of for years, or what studios are doing now. And yeah, it was fun, not easy, but lots of
For
fun.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also we wanted 2D, we wanted 3D, we wanted stop motion, we wanted
Mix.
sort of
Yeah.
a showcase of global animation as it is today.
Correct.
Yeah, and then once we start having the conversation, it becomes a very organic sort of discussion about Star Wars and what is important to them. And we often hear, some studios, you hear sort of one pitch or one idea they're very passionate about. Sometimes you hear from different creators within the studio, and we talk through multiple ideas. But ultimately, they all these come straight from the heart. All the ideas that we resonate and sort of decide to make with these studios really come from a personal space, from the writer and director. And we try to cultivate that along the way. And, we try to encourage them to think in terms of new characters, new worlds. And usually they're bringing that to us anyway. They want to sort of expand the palette of Star Wars. And I think it's, when you see folks like Wedge Antilles and I Am Your Mother, or
Mhm.
Boba Fett and Volume 1, it's, again, that comes very organically out of like the journeys of sort of the main characters,
Right.
in this new story. So
But
Yeah.
just to tie that up though, because I do think it's important to say the things we actually look for when we're engaging with these studios ends up being, you could strip the Star Wars out of it. What is the human story that you have to say? Luke is a kid from a small town that dreams bigger and dreams that they have a destiny and a purpose and has to find it and get out. What were those things? Like I Am Your Mother is definitely a story about an immigrant family trying to adapt to the new culture, and then accepting some of the beauty of the roots that they had, and that reunites the mother-daughter relationship. That's what we looked for. The Star Wars, then our goal is to help them express that through Star Wars.
Yeah, simplifying it and making it very, very focused on those core human values. Guys, I have tons more questions I could ask you, but that is my time. I just want to thank you so much, though, for taking the time to answer a few questions, and not only that, bringing this to life. This means so much to me to see. Star Wars fandom can be a little possessive and precious with what is Star Wars, and not really thinking about what Star Wars can be. And I really do believe Star Wars Visions embraces what Star Wars can be outside of the canon. So thank you so much. I hope we get a volume 3, and I hope we see a Canadian studio.
Yes, there's a great
Would
there's a
be
lot
fun.
of animation
Yes, there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day,
Thank you
guys.
Thank
So
you.
nice to hear.
You as
Thank you.
well.
And we are back. Fantastic interview, Justin. Really good stuff. I loved, I think I had the chance to actually see all 3 of these wonderful folks at
Yeah.
Star Wars Celebration last month in London. And yeah, it was you can tell, you could just see, not only how passionate they are about Star Wars, but specifically Star Wars animation and this project of Star Wars Visions. I think, hearing your words of sort of affection towards the project, and then hearing sort of just how much they were like so happy to hear that, it was really lovely. And I loved hearing the fact that the passion for animation at Lucasfilm goes all the way up to Kathleen Kennedy. I think that's super cool. That's rad to hear. I think I think a lot of people sort of think of her as more the movie side of things, and that's kind of what sort of I think her focus was as when she presented at Star Wars Celebration. So to hear that she is down for some Bad Batch and down for some Star Wars Visions and Clone Wars and everything animated is fantastic.
Well, I think an ongoing conversation between all of us throughout the entire time we've been talking about Star Wars is their commitment to animation. And I think very much this confirms that they are committed to animation. Animation means a lot to Lucasfilm and in the stories that they can tell within Star Wars, and how they can do that. I think the sky's the limit, and I think they've elevated it. We've talked about it in Bad Batch, season 1 and season 2. We talked about it in Tales of the Jedi. Animation, it's in Lucasfilm's DNA. They're committed to it. Like you said, to hear their passion, it's very reassuring. It means that we will get more stories of animation in the future.
And I mean, we're not going to necessarily, give anything in terms of a review for the series here. We will have our review out May 3rd for you to listen to. But Jacqui mentioning that Cartoon Saloon and Aardman Studios were the easiest choices. Mm-hmm. The wonderful director of the short from Aardman, she was on stage. She was absolutely phenomenal. And when we got to see I Am Your Mother early, mm-hmm. It was just so lovely to see her, and all the different animators were in the crowd with us, and their families. And I think I mentioned this in our Star Wars Celebration recap, but it was just, it's so heartwarming to see again. And I said it then, I'll say it now, is they absolutely mastered taking something so huge as Star Wars and making it feel so small and so sort of like a community, while at the same time making it feel global with all these different animation studios. And I think the thing that probably just I think that really solidified that these are the right people to be working on this stuff is when I think it was James that sort of rounded out one of the answers of saying you could strip the Star Wars out of it. What is the story that they're trying to say?
Yeah, no.
And then as producers, they help them add the Star Wars back in. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love that. I got chills when he said that, because I think that's very much what we're looking for when it comes to new Star Wars stories.
For sure, it's humanizing it, right? It's not getting lost in the sci-fi fantasy, a galaxy far, far away.
Right, the rules.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the Force. This is how the Force works. That's not how the Force works.
Exactly. So it's not getting bogged down by that. It's
Right.
telling stories that revolve around family, good, evil, the themes that are inherently tied to Star Wars, but really simplifying it and humanizing it and focusing on it. And I think that really does show that, like you said, that the right people are behind this. The right vision has been put into bringing this series of shorts to life. So yeah, I had so many more questions.
You showed me, you had like a massive list of questions.
I did, and I guess the one thing that was really refreshing, I mentioned, I could talk to them for probably an hour or a half hour about this new volume and the past volume as well, just the intent behind the stories. But it was great because like Jacqui and Josh kind of rounded out some of the details of how, working with the studios to create these effects and talking about some of the animation that they're excited to see. Those were some of the like lingering questions that I had that they were able to still mention. And I think people are in for an absolute treat with volume 2 and the level of storytelling and animation that is used here to tell new stories. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, you mentioned at the end of your interview, just give a quick shout out to the Canadian animation studios out there. I think, I was looking up I was looking up some different works by different Canadian animation studios, and there's an animation studio called Bardell out of Vancouver, and they do some animation for Rick and Morty. They do animation for Teen Titans Go, The Dragon Prince on Netflix.
Yep.
Atomic Cartoons, also out of Vancouver. Animation. They did work on Hilda on Netflix, which is a gorgeous, beautifully animated, little sort of series on there. I think there's a movie as well. But honestly, a Star Wars story told in any of those styles from any of those teams, I think would be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be a hit. Again, like Volume 1 was. I think we will see some news. My fingers are crossed for a Volume 3. I really hope we get it. The one question I do wish I did ask them was which of the Volume 2 were their favorites and the ones that they're excited for. So if they're listening, they can always write in and let us know at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or they can hit us up on Twitter at geekcentricyt, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. I'm plugging our social early because I'd love to hear from them. That was the one question. I was so tempted to actually reach back out through our rep and be like, can I just ask like one more question?
Yeah.
Just complete the interview. But I held back. I didn't do it. But it was such a great conversation, and I really appreciated the opportunity to chat with them and thank them for bringing Star Wars Visions to life, because I really do believe that this is a series that celebrates the diversity of storytelling through animation. And it's something that so many people connect with because of the Star Wars, because of the cultural aspects. So yeah, what a great interview. A huge thanks again to our guests, James Waugh, Jacqui Lopez, and Josh Rhimes. And a huge thanks to Walt Disney Studios Canada for making it happen. It means a lot.
Well, you didn't get a chance to ask them this time around. We're putting it out into the galaxy. I've got a vision. I think Star Wars Visions Volume 3 is going to be a thing. But if you want to know, what our favorite episode of Star Wars Visions Volume 2 was, then again, you can tune into our review. We're going to have that out May 3rd, the day before May the 4th. Be with you. But that is it. We hope you enjoyed the special Behind the Geeks episode. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And keep in mind, we have a ton of other episodes covering the latest in movies, TV shows, games, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Dungeons & Dragons. We've got some great other interviews as well, like our interview with Aisha Tyler, or our interview with Alyssa Waponatuk, who plays Tiger Lily in Peter Pan and Wendy. All those are available to listen to on your podcast service of choice, or you can watch them on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. Listen, with this being the week of May the 4th, we're going to have some May the 4th TikToks, specifically from some of our other interviews from all folks across the entirety of Star Wars, so definitely check those out on our TikTok at We Are Geekcentric on TikTok. And coming soon, we're talking about Volume 2, Star Wars Visions Volume 2, but I'm going to just turn that dial up just by one.
Can't believe we got it again.
We'll end up at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We've got our coverage for that coming. Our review out tomorrow, and our interviews are out on May 5th. So we've got a chance to interview a couple of folks from that. I won't say who it is. We got a chance to interview a couple of folks, so you'll definitely have to subscribe here, subscribe on YouTube to be able to find out, and leave us a 5-star review if you don't mind. Those reviews go a really long way for us. Anytime you can just sort of give us any sort of positive feedback and sort of recommend us, find all your family members who haven't watched Star Wars Visions yet, force them to watch Star Wars Visions Volume 1 and 2, and then go on their phone and click subscribe on our podcast. They won't mind. I'm sure they won't mind if they even know what the podcast app even is. Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this special Behind the Geeks episode with the executive producers from Star Wars Visions Volume 2. And as we say, love ya.
Peace.